Downtown rebounds are critical in every city's recovery across the entire country. Here, we've now learned that Los Angeles isn't doing as well as other cities, but this new data also tells us that LA is changing. And exactly what has changed is precisely what has kept the city alive.
Good afternoon, Shoebiz.
It has been the heart and soul of downtown LA for nearly half a century. Their shoe leather, their every spray and shine, keeping the city's foot traffic flowing, one pair at a time. And cobbler John Yanikian has seen almost every stitch of that history from right here behind his work table.
Some days are busier than others.
Some days,
Well,
they used to keep 80 to 100 customers well-heeled.
I'll see you next Wednesday. How's that?
But in just one day, the sound of pounding in here and out here on the pavement just stopped.
Overnight, it was a ghost town. You know, from one day to the next, there was nobody here.
How bad was it for you?
Stressful.
Yeah.
I think I got all my gray then.
The streets themselves turned gray in March 2020 as the COVID crisis left them silent, left businesses at a standstill. But now, 3 years later, the view from above and at ground level has changed.
After the entire world shut down, now everywhere, including right here in downtown LA, is walking towards recovery. And we can see that by tracking exactly where all the cell phone usage is. The latest data says that out of 62 cities, LA is right in the middle, ranking 27th in recovery. The data also shows Los Angeles is back up to 65% of pre-pandemic levels. Smaller cities actually had quicker recoveries, but bigger cities are very different. In fact, when it comes to the top 5 cities across the entire country, the cell data shows that LA ranks number 2, just behind New York. And there's been a dramatic shift in exactly where people are in the city. Pre-pandemic, LA Live here was one of 8 hotspots when it comes to foot traffic, according to the cell phone heat maps. It dips during the pandemic and then begins returning to normal. And here's a look at where people were working before COVID. This was a hotspot before the pandemic, but now cell phone data shows that there has been a dramatic shift.
LA didn't do so well. LA, out of 62 cities, was number 27.
Right.
Is that concerning?
Right smack in the middle.
For a city like Los Angeles, a world-class city, is the middle good enough?
Given what the bottom looked like, the middle is okay for now.
Nick Griffin points out that LA is better than okay when compared to similar major cities and says it's because of the ongoing shift to residential and entertainment from office space that is still lagging in recovery. Just days ago, in fact, reports that one of the city's biggest landlords defaulted on $755 million in loans for 2 iconic skyscrapers because of offices remaining vacant.
What about businesses and office space?
In the office sector, we're hovering around 50% utilization.
The office sectors downtown are not doing very well at all.
Karen Chappell compiled and studied this downtown cell data at UC Berkeley.
That's crazy.
She could not quantify how much crime and the crisis of homelessness factor in, but says they are clearly related.
And then nobody wants to walk there anymore, and then the office workers are even more reluctant to come back.
The most significant factor she could measure, though, is residents, those now returning and those riding the pandemic out.
Those folks didn't go anywhere, so there wasn't a big outflux to the suburbs, to Riverside County or anything. People basically stayed in LA County, LA City, not like New York, and so that's sustained the downtown.
Where are we today? Are you at the same level of residential?
94, 95% occupancy. It was those residents that really carried us through and carried the businesses through, kept the community alive, kept the lights on during that period.
This path to recovery.
Just one day at a time.
No surprise to those following the footprints.
Everybody was working from home, so they didn't wear their shoes down. It was mainly the residents that used our services as much as possible, and kept our doors open.
One of LA's oldest cobblers.
You've walked down a long path.
Yes.
Always believing his path to success runs straight through downtown LA.
Do you love it?
You have to love this trade to do it.
Knowing by trade that this city is as tough as leather.
95% of everything you do is all repaired.
And believing that despite a few scuffs,
You're an artist. When a pair of shoes come in, you need to recreate what you had.
it can always wear a shine.
We learn how to fix things, right? So we're going to fix it. We're going to fix this problem, and we're going to move on.
Well, the Downtown Business Improvement District in the last 24 hours has just released its final report for 2022. And in it, we see those very same trends. Residential is at 94% of pre-pandemic levels. Hospitality is now at 92%. And there were 30 new restaurants that opened in the last year. But office space is still lagging behind at 68% of what we had before COVID. Business owners downtown say they need even more help from the city. So what is LA doing exactly to help? Well, we tried to sit down with Mayor Karen Bass for weeks to ask her about it, but she declined. Her office did send us a written statement that says in part that her administration is, quote, bringing businesses and entrepreneurs together to cut red tape, incentivize growth, and provide financial relief. But exactly what does that mean? So we asked for specific examples of those things. And so far from the mayor's office, we have gotten zero specifics.
Well,